Welcome back everyone to the Visvim Pioneer channel. My apologies for the delay in my posting. Obviously due to the holidays, I was kind of busy with family and stuff. So a lot of the content that I've produced has been around Visvim boots, but I thought that for today we'd take a look at something different. I almost consider this pair of shoes almost like a summer boot, and it's the Visvim Wallace Deck-Folk. So for the remainder of the video, I'll just be calling this the Wallace because pronouncing the whole thing just takes too long and it's kind of a tongue twister. So as you can see, the Wallace is an interpretation of a traditional boat/deck shoe. So it's no secret that Visvim takes a lot of inspiration from traditional American style, and the deck shoe is something that became extremely popular in some of the different Ivy League and that whole preppy look. I'll definitely find some photos of what I'm referring to, but I'm sure you guys can imagine the whole collegiate, Letterman jacket and those like V-neck sweaters, that kind of like style. And I think that that was one of the reasons I stayed away from styles like the Hockney or the Americana. They just leaned a little bit too much into that style, and I didn't personally think that it looked that good on me. The toe box on those versions is slightly like shorter, and you're kind of meant to wear them without socks, and I kind of just didn't like the way they went with my wardrobe. But with the Wallace, I think that this kind of solves some of the issues that I had with the Hockney and the Americana, especially because it's just more of a substantial pair of shoes. This might be something that you guys will be able to tell on camera, but if you haven't already, the leather on this is a lot thicker than it is on traditional boat shoes. So typically deck shoes were meant to be a little less slippery for sailors when they were on boats and things like that. So this modern interpretation essentially just takes the quality of what Visvim is known for and just elevates the deck shoe overall. So starting with the uppers, the upper of the Wallace is composed of a vegetable tanned cowhide. It's one of the thicker leathers that I've personally felt from Visvim releases recently. This is actually a pair from 2021 that I picked up. I believe they also issued them again in 2022. The colorways that they came in included this dark brown colorway, a burgundy that's very similar, it just has a slightly like redder tone to it, and then a black pair. One of my favorite components of this, as mentioned, is this vegetable tanned cow leather. It kind of almost has a chrome tan effect in a way, where if you get like a scuff mark on the upper, you can kind of like rub it out or brush it out, and it'll just look like the leather's brand new. I also like how it almost has a T-core effect. As you bend some of the different portions, you're able to see the lighter tones from the leather underneath. One of the things that I really like about the construction of the Wallace is that it does have a handmade Goodyear welt. Unlike most of the Visvim boots that have a full 360 welt, this one has about a 270-degree welt, which is perfectly fine. Some people prefer the look of a 270 versus a 360 welt. There's some people that say that a 270 welt kind of takes away from some of the waterproofness, but realistically, even though they are a deck shoe, I'm probably not going to be on a boat with them. So mostly they're worn casually, and while they may look new, I have owned them now for going on 4 years, and I believe that that plays into what I'm saying about the leather just being extremely durable and hard wearing on these pairs. In addition to the vegetable tan cowhide, you also have a full leather interior. I'm not sure why Visvim chose to make it this orange color. It does kind of remind me of that Hermes orange color. One of the things to keep in mind with the interior color is that I have had some of my socks stain due to the color, so that's just something that I've noticed when wearing these. In addition, for the laces, we have leather laces. These, are on the shorter side because there's only 3 eyelets. Speaking of the eyelets, they are this like brass gold color, which I think works really well with like the richness of the brown hue. Like a traditional boat shoe, you also have these additional like laces that run through the upper. There's no obvious way to access them, so I know that with like the FBTs, you can like kind of untie the whole flap and it's all one solid lace, but with the Wallace, these are kind of embedded into the upper already. You also have this hand stitch detail here at the back of the shoe, which I think just gives it a nice little touch. One of my favorite components of this deck shoe is actually the outsole. As I've mentioned in so many of my other videos, I really enjoy when Visvim does a custom vibram outsole. It just makes the shoe feel a little bit more special, less off the shelf, if you know what I mean. You have custom Visvim branding right here at the heel and this really thick and like chunky outer block. One of the issues with the lug sole, it does obviously kind of, provide a little bit more grip and things like that when you're out and about, but you do get pieces of rock and debris in some of the different crevices for the outsole. Something very minor, but always something to keep in mind. The midsole is a leather stacked midsole up until that Goodyear welt, and then you have this like EVA Phylon, piece here at the heel. Now, Visvim says that this outsole is replaceable. I'm sure that you can probably just find a different lug bottom and, swap out the heels. Up until this point, though, there hasn't really been much issues when it comes to the wear of these. I would say right out the box, this is probably one of the more comfortable pairs of shoes I've purchased from Visvim. I had literally no issues with break-in, and for the most part boat shoes tend to run a little bit narrow, but I didn't really have that experience with these. I mean, looking at them overall, you can definitely tell that they're pretty chunky. They just have a lot more heft to them than a traditional boat shoe would. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that the tongue is pretty padded. I personally like the way that padding feels. I think one of the cool design details is that they decided to roll the leather over here and kind of like stitch it into one piece, so you definitely have this like substantial collar that provides a lot of support. I haven't had any issues with blisters, but that might be because I typically wear these with socks. I know a lot of people wear boat shoes without socks, but personally, my feet get sweaty. I prefer them not to smell, so I'm gonna continue wearing socks with these. And I think that these are really cool in the way that they're almost like a boot for the summer. They can also play really well into the fall and winter months. I've worn these in the rain, and because of the dye and the finish on this upper, honestly, the watermarks have been non-existent, and they've worked extremely well in all different kinds of scenarios. With that said, let's go ahead and take a closer look. Thank you all again for tuning in to the channel. I really appreciate all the support and feedback. A lot of you guys have been reaching out via Instagram DMs or leaving comments on YouTube, and I can't tell you guys how much I truly appreciate it. Updates on new Visvim pickups. So I did place my order recently for the fall winter 2025 items, and I won't be getting those until like August or September. But for the spring summer 2025 stuff that I ordered, I do plan on doing a review on some of the pieces that I picked up. There's a very special boot that I'm picking up as well that I personally find to be one of the best releases that I've personally purchased in quite some time, and I'm really excited to show you guys that. So as soon as I'm able to pick those up and do a review, I will definitely be posting that. I might even do a 30-day wear test on that pair of boots as well. If that's something that you guys are interested in, just let me know in the comments. And until next time, thank you all again for tuning in. Peace. The leather smells really good on these. I don't know why.